got after him. Season-high 6 sacks on a quarterback who had not been sacked more than 3 times in a game all season long. And then there's Stetson Bennett. He threw for 257, 2 touchdowns as number 3 Georgia took down number 1 Tennessee 27-13. Vols, the 4th college football playoff number 1 all time to lose in the regular season. And let's look at what this does now, because it was a chaotic day in college football. A few top-ranked teams seeing their college football playoff hopes take hits. 5 teams coming into the day with at least a 50% chance to make the playoff, according to the All-State Playoff Predictor. 3 of them lost. All were ranked in the top 6. Interestingly, Tennessee's chances stay about the same because of the Clemson and Alabama losses. Let's talk about Georgia with Trevor Mattis. She's our ESPN football analyst, and it's Trevor time on SportsCenter. You look at what the Georgia defense was able to do, bow up and hold that prolific Vol offense in check. What stood out to you as you watched the game film? Well,
I'll tell you, the first thing that stood out was that Georgia has a quarterback. I didn't know that from the coverage in the week leading up. I thought it was just Hendon Hooker of Tennessee, and deservedly so. But Stetson Bennett showed that very quietly he still delivers the mail. He's the guy in this game with a national championship ring, and he didn't just manage the game. He made the big plays. When things broke down, he unfurled his cape, and he made plays anyway. But Randy, you talk about that Georgia defense, monsters under the bed. They're like a cat toying with a mouse. The mouse thinks he has a chance, but when the cat's done toying with the mouse, he just eats the mouse, and that's exactly what happened here. This Georgia defense, especially with defensive tackle Jalen Carter healthy, is the best defense in the country. And so when you combine that with an offense that's so balanced with a quarterback that is such an effective playmaker to go with his game managing, this defense leads this team to where they're number 1, and it's hard to see who might have a chance against them.
It's weird to say a defending champ would be disrespected, but you could make that argument coming in. So much of the focus was on Tennessee and their quarterback, Hendon Hooker. Okay, so we're going to see some shakeup in the college football playoff rankings this coming week. It's time for rank and file. You're going to give us your 4 teams. You're going to rank them, and then you're going to give us 1 team to file away.
Okay, let's start with number 4, TCU. They were number 7 coming into this week by the committee, but they also had 3 teams ahead of them lose. And they trailed in the 3rd quarter by 4 points to Texas Tech. They're accustomed to trailing in games, and they're accustomed to coming back. Number 3, the Buckeyes. It was a tough weather game up there at Northwestern, and the offense struggled, but the defense stepped up, gave up too many rushing yards, but held the Wildcats to just a touchdown. Number 2, Michigan is dominant on the ground. They're dominant on defense, and the passing attack is efficient. This is a team that travels. This is a team that wins because they're tough. And then number 1, who else? I mean, Georgia. I don't know. The Cleveland Browns might struggle against them. That's an exaggeration. But right now, you can't find a weakness on this team. And file away LSU. They control their destiny to Atlanta for the SEC championship game. And if they get there and they beat Georgia, they likely will be the first 2-loss team to ever make the college football playoff. And they are vastly better now than they were at the beginning of the season. And they'll be better at the end than they are now.
How costly is that loss to Florida State out of the gates? That thing could loom large. And you said it, LSU trying to become the first 2